Hey, good evening. This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents. Happy to be here. This episode is called Control Alt Delete. Every week we moderate the L&P show and we discuss with the latest trends and game changers in parenting, technology, education, sports, and product reviews. I am your host, Ted Hicks. Ways to follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/late night parents. Twitter, twitter.com/late night parent. You can follow me also on Twitter at Real Ted Hicks. And our portal, latenightparents.com is the portal. Shorthand, lnp.tv. Happy to be here for our end of year show. I guess we called it Control. I don't even know why we call it Control Alt Delete. But none other than your friend and mine, Richie V, is going to be here, and we're just going to have an open discussion on technology trends. Some of the technology trends that affected 2016. Will we talk fake news? We might talk fake news. Will we talk Apple? Will we talk Android? Will we talk Samsung? Will we talk Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft? Are we going to talk Oracle? I don't know. It's just going to be open discussion and pretty excited to do it. You know, it's not very often I get to have these conversations where we toss everything else out and we just totally talk tech. And I'm just making sure I get Richie V in the queue. And I believe he's in the queue. Just like that. None other than Rich Valdez is in the building.
Virtually.
Usually people get a hand clap at the end, as we did our, most of our podcast guests, but you get it in the beginning.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. What's going on, man? Good to be on. Good to be with you.
Yeah, same here. Always good to have you on for an unscripted, non-rehearsed show where we can sit and just talk a little tech. And I think, I'm not sure, you were talking end of year or year end in review, and you were starting to talk a little bit about technology on the last radio show, but you couldn't get a word in edgewise.
But that was okay.
Shots fired.
I'm not going to get in the middle of that. I'll just say that it was still a fantastic conversation, and it was all good. We had the good conversation, and we missed you. But Allison and Michelle were great co-hosts, so it was all worthwhile.
Nah, they definitely were. So I'm not sure where to start with this, but I thought I would start with a rant. So I'm just going to go there, Rich, because we worked together long enough to have this conversation, to have many conversations, and some people listening in on our conversations don't like the end results, but that's okay.
That is all right.
I got to say this. On December 14th at Trump Tower, all the lead tech execs were there. I don't know if it was the photo op. I'm not sure, but I will say this much. What bothers me is the fact that if we don't get STEM corrected, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, correct, there's going to be a slew of people out of work because we're at a point in our career where we have a unique perspective. We can say, hey, we've been doing this 20 or so years, and we've seen the industry on what it is. We've seen the industry itself morph from the standard tech, just replacing the keyboard, to nowadays that standard tech has to know more than just the keyboard. He has to be involved. He has to be involved in everything. But here's my one piece is the election and everything else. It was about one word. The word was jobs. JOBS. And for you and me, as we watch these companies nowadays, it's all about automation and all about robotics, Rich.
This is true. But, there was something I was reading the other day, and I actually didn't even get a chance to really read the entire article. But I caught the headline and the first few words about it. And what's very interesting is, even though, technology and automation specifically has taken a lot of jobs, there's still actually more available positions in the market. So, where those who come out and say, granted, there are definitely limited or limited positions or focused positions that, we got to look at car manufacturing, heavy manufacturing specifically. Of course, now you look in any line, and it's all robots doing the work, lifting, turning, twisting, and, productivity is, countless, exponentially better productivity or than it was when it was just, a guy with 10 fingers walking up and down the line, screwing bolts in. And those jobs have gone. But generationally, now you have those instead who are programming those robots, designing the code, the engineering. It's maybe it definitely has shifted from the lower level factory type worker, maybe not as educated worker maybe, but the positions are now at the upper levels or mid levels where it's a guy, all right, so I'm not making the car, I'm making what makes the car. I'm designing what makes the car. So it has shifted the employment landscape.
But Rich, would you agree or would you disagree that it's more about there is still a gap? There's if that gap isn't filled, so this might not be your ordinary tech in year in review show, but if that gap isn't filled, then more jobs leave the country.
Correct. Oh, you absolutely
for that specific skill set. Yes, no, agree, disagree. It's
no, I agree. I agree because, and even there, it's going over there to where you still need to have the cheap labor. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it, for why the jobs are going overseas, underseas, everywhere else. You still need to get that cheap labor, and that's what the businesses are all shooting for. Now, what's going to happen? Let's just say, let's put the hypothetical out there, and 25% of the jobs that have been sent over there by these manufacturers and by the companies come back. Be ready for that 25% increase in prices.
Of course.
It's not coming back for free. And there's no one that's going to work and do the work here for whatever the going rate is. We know it's a lot less than what the average going rate for that same level of skilled labor is going to cost in the U.S. A lot more. It's going to cost a lot more to happen in the U.S. So be prepared. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying everyone be prepared for the sticker shock when that, let's pick one which is already ridiculously priced, in my opinion. Let's go iPhone. Right?
Right.
Completely made overseas with cheap labor. Let them have to build it here. And see, then when all of a sudden they say, oh, yeah, you want to get that phone, which we're not going to subsidize anymore, it's going to cost you $1,700.
So the $650 iPhone, that's the middle of the line, is now
Right.
going to go up. You know, does it go up 50%? Who
Why
knows?
not? Who knows?
But
Go up.
but it's made in America.
Right.
It's made in America. I don't know if you feel better about that or not, but so we were going to touch. I just wanted to touch that hot topic, or those hot topics about jobs and about, because I mean we've seen a lot over the years.
Yeah.
And we've seen organizations, ramp up and shrink down, and we've seen, you can go from
and come back.
Right. We've seen when you can, like I said, you can just get a tech to do certain, it's required, a certain skill set. It might be a lower skill set. Now you've got to be to a point where you've got to have a lot of bandwidth.
Right.
To cover mobile, to cover, 3-4 years ago we were talking BYOD. So that's like the norm. But I'm just saying you have to flex along with the time. You got to keep those skills sharp. What were you going to say?
No, I was about to say basically the same thing. So now instead of that, we'll stay with techs. Instead of that low-level tech who, as long as he had any willingness to learn, you never say, well, you've been doing this job and you've been just out there swapping keyboards and mice for a year, just to put a time frame on it. Well, we need someone now who's going to do keyboards, mice, and learn how to image computers. So if as long as you had any willingness to learn, you kept your spot. And you learned, and now you added that third thing to your resume, to your skill set. The same thing should happen across the board. I mean, granted, you do get to a certain level where, and again, staying with techs, when we say, all right, well, you're doing all this, we'll say desktop side work, but now we need someone who can do some networking. Someone who knows how to configure a router, switch, knows the basics of connectivity. Can you learn it, or do we need to hire someone else now at that base level who's going to go up and go from there? But that has been our life. That has been how it's been for us always. I mean, I started at the bottom. My first tech job in the industry was repairing printers, dot matrix printers, band printers, stuff that doesn't even exist anymore. That was my first job in the industry. And it was a learning experience. And besides just printers, that's when I got my very first exposures to anything network related that wasn't already in my house. And you pick it up, you learn, and then it's up to the person. You either say, I'm going to learn this, I want to grow, I want to know the next thing, I have that thirst for knowledge, or you say, no, I don't want to do it, I don't want to know it, and you get left behind. That's not the company's fault.
No, it's not. It's your fault. It's your fault. I just think there's merit in the fact that if you can sit there and say, hey, I understand the foundation of this, gets you so much further than you're coming in at a specific level and you didn't touch. It's so important to touch all the rungs. Right. Because then you can sit there and have any conversation with anyone. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say you an intelligent conversation where you can sit there and say, okay, this is what you want to do. And it also instills, I guess I'm at the point of saying you don't want to be an empty suit. And that's the ongoing joke that we've always talked about through the years. There's so many empty suits.
There's
so many. And you're just sitting there saying, oh.
We've always said this, though. We know where the empty suits come from. You can spot an empty suit a mile away because and I'm not downing these people because it is what it is. But You always know when the guy just got out of school, just got his MBA, and was appointed to be whatever title, and has never touched a keyboard besides typing on it. Has never
Right.
replaced anything in the computer. And then when it's time for him to get a new computer, he's like, could someone please log in for me because I don't know how to change my password.
Right. Right.
You know, it's the guy. It's those who have worked their way up and started from the bottom, and have touched all the levels and know how to interact with all the levels and know the relationships with all the levels. Plus, have that. You got to have the technical experience and the managerial mindset experience. You got to have both. And if you don't, then yeah, you're in that suit. You're pushing papers, and you know you think you know how people should direct, but you don't. Or you make mistakes.
Oh my goodness. This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents. We're speaking with none other than Rich Valdez, part of our team, our Sunday night team that talks about technology. We talk education. We talk sports. I mean, we do all different types of product reviews. But so I want to get to, I think the other item I wanted to talk about was, and I think I told you, one day I was watching, before I left for work in the morning, and got on the railroad. Good Day New York. I watch it every morning. Love the show. Fantastic. Funny as can be. They were broadcasting from the Amazon warehouse in New Jersey. They showed the full automation. Guess what, Rich? Outside of the VP that was being interviewed, I didn't see a single soul there. Rich, that's scary. I'm scared. I'm scared, man.
You're scared, but that's what makes it possible for you to place that order on Amazon, and it's at your door 2 days later. Or if you opted to pay that extra shipping, it's on your door the next day. It's shipped out from wherever it ended up, whatever bin number, in whatever aisle, in whatever warehouse. The bin number was next to immediately picked up, gone, picked up by the robot, thrown in the box, taped up, and on its way to you.
True.
Now,
hey, I want. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No. That's just. I think we're probably because we have been in this for so long and we've seen so many different levels of it. We are witnessing, and can appreciate the next evolution of technology because we know before internet. We know it well, and now seeing our connectivity, we can appreciate it. And but it's the same things that were said. Our parents again go back to manufacturing. That's the big one. When again it was had people online building cars and 1,000 guys working in the factory. Whistle blew, they all came out for lunch and all that. It's not like that anymore. That's not a good or bad thing. It's the reality. It's just that's how life is now. That's the next level, the evolution of technology for us.
Rich, I want to segue real quick, and then we're going to dip back into technology. I want to just say this to you. Those oil and coal jobs are not coming back, Rich.
No, they're not.
They're not coming back. So you could sit there, and I kind of think about the technology industry in a specific way as you look at those coal and those oil jobs.
Yep.
Where it used to be in abundance to the point where you're like, okay, what just happened? My like you said, my position was just consumed by automation.
Right.
I want to ask you, because these have been the big players for so many years. I mean, in your mind, when does Microsoft really make that big comeback? I mean, they've kind of made it with the whole Office 365 and finally getting a CEO who can really speak about the cloud. But, when did they come back with, yes, the Surface device is wonderful, a great device. When did they come back with a mobile device, and is it too late?
That's a tough one. with Microsoft and to the same extent Apple, you don't really know what's coming unless you're in the know, unless you're part of the R&D, unless you're in that pipeline, or they say, all right, this is what we're working on, and you're in that development pipeline. They may very well, because we know they've tried it. We know they spent, how much did they spend on Nokia? Some god awful billions and $9 billion or something like that, which was basically almost entirely a write-off. They may really come back and say, you know what? Why don't we? They're never going to stop developing, but they don't have to push it. Let Apple take that piece of the market that they have, which is slipping slowly away. It seems that's a whole other conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a whole bunch of international players now in the mobile market, which we don't see here in the U.S. But there's quite a few manufacturers making mobile devices which are getting really, really good reviews. And who's behind most of the operating systems on those? Alphabet. So it's less now about the hardware. It's still more about the operating system, which unfortunately Microsoft, maybe they did come to that game too late. They didn't have the focus of trying to integrate, or maybe they did it just in the wrong way, trying to integrate the operating system on the desktop with the mobile device. Because they tried it, they really, really did, but it failed because Apple's iOS just came out and blew it away and was more efficient and had a better marketing machine behind it. But Microsoft is you got to figure, and I would wonder what the numbers are now that for the last couple of years they've gone with the different subscription model. They've got to be making so much more money on everyone who no longer can pirate Office or pirate Windows than they ever did before. They've got to be. I would love to see what those numbers are. Because going on those days where I got a disc, here you can have it and give it to 50 of your friends.
Right. Rich, I remember back in 1998, I was in Chicago for a training. It was around, I'm going to say March. So here is, and like I said, memory is at 16 years or 17 years and maybe 8 months or whatever it is like that. Okay. So I'm at a training in Chicago, and there was Microsoft representation there, and they were talking about application service providers. Mm-hmm. So all of this stuff that we're doing now with, you renting the application, they were talking about 20 years ago. But it just took time to catch on.
Right. Well, it wasn't so much, I think, time to catch on. You didn't have the infrastructure in place to the home where it could be implemented feasibly, in a feasible way. Now you've got the internet speeds everywhere. I mean, imagine trying to do like we do now, Office 365 web-enabled version over ISDN or over over a modem. It just would not happen. But now you have that experience. You have basically the locally installed application experience on the web interface.
You remember the days? You remember the days, Rich, where you would get a 48K connection and you would feel good about it?
Oh man, it's like, wow, look at that. I'm getting almost a megabyte per minute. Not per second.
Serious, man.
I remember those days as well. I still get to hear that noise once in a while when I get faxed.
Hey, I want to let you know, I'm going to, and I said this to a friend, but I'll do it to you. I'm going to email you from my original AOL and Prodigy.net account.
I can email you from my AOL because I have kept it for one reason only. Besides the fact I've had it for decades now, it seems. My AOL ID does not have a number.
Okay. Wow.
It is my name.
Oh, man.
Yes, anyone wants to send an email? RichieV@AOL.com. I'm never giving that up because of that. Never.
Oh, my goodness. That's cool. That's really cool. So we're talking with Richie V. This is Late Night Parents. We're talking. This is our Control Alt Delete episode. I guess I will ask you about Alphabet. I will ask you about Google. I will ask you about Google Fiber. And even if Google Fiber never makes it to New York, who do you think is going to be the first provider that will be able to provide residential customers with the gig connection to their home?
Isn't Verizon already doing that with Fios?
Right now, I think it's at 300, but they're testing early on testing the gig connection.
Yeah, I think that might just be more even that they're holding it back because I mean it's fiber to the house already, right? So therefore, it's not like the gig capability isn't there. They just have to ramp it up and turn it on.
Gotcha.
So, but you're right. But who will turn it on and make it available first? I think it'll be Verizon because they have the infrastructure. Yeah, I think Verizon will do it first.
And not like a Comcast or something like that?
Unless they get out there and they have to build the infrastructure for it. See, I don't know. Remember, since we're in New York, we're AT&T Verizon world, and Optimum, to the other end. I don't know what Comcast has already out there. Maybe in some new development somewhere where they've just laid a whole new infrastructure, or where a whole new town is coming up. Maybe they've got it out there, but Verizon's been building it for the last few years. And, again, you're seeing it now with Fios. You're seeing that capability. I think it'll be them.
How excited would you get if a message went out January 1, 2017, that Google Fiber was coming to New York?
I would be so thrilled. But you know what? I got to see what it comes with. Because I can't give up my TV. I know that of course makes it easier to become a cord cutter. So then if I can say, all right, I will go with Google Fiber and then give up my cable provider subscriptions to the bare minimum, so that I can still do the subscriptions to the individual video packages. Okay, that'll be good. I'm with that. But the thing is, let's just say, for argument's sake, that January 1st, they say, you know what, you got to gig to your desktop now. You got to gig to your home.
Right.
How much, at this point, how much does it change for you?
That's
true. What
true.
more will that gig give you from what we're already experiencing now? I mean, Optimum is advertising that they'll do 300 megs now, which is great. I think what did you say you can get now with Fios about the same?
Yeah, about the same.
So?
About 200, 300.
There. If you're the standard home user these days, granted, maybe you'll connect to websites faster. It's not going to affect any of your streaming video. Maybe you can get better 4K performance. Maybe they can tweak things so that you can lessen the compression, so video output looks a little better. Maybe they can do something like that with that higher bandwidth. Sure, it might open up more things for more interactive programming down the line, because then you can see what's going on. Then sure, maybe like what we do with conferencing, just make it available in the killer app so everyone in the neighborhood can share the conference together, or a party line type thing. You never know what would come out of it if everyone had the bandwidth. But we've gotten so much already, say in the last 10 years, I don't think getting that gig all of a sudden would have really an impact on my daily computing, TV watching, entertainment, or any of that, really.
I tell you this much, I only want Google Fiber to come up here for competition, solely for competition.
Yeah.
And nothing else. No other reason.
Good.
Yeah, because, when you're dealing with, let's just say, the only game in town, if you're the only game in town, you're going to be kind of snooty.
Right.
You're going to kind of be to the point where you're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to give you this and that's that. All right, goodbye.
Right. Well, aren't they cutting back even on the fiber rollouts because they got more expensive than they thought they would? So, I can't see New York being anything but an expensive position.
Totally. I totally agree with you. I mean, unless they want to get into the, hey, we're going to lease these lines, or, hey, you're providing service on it, we're going to provide service on it also. And then the degradation starts. So we were talking a little bit about iPhone, but truth be told, Android kind of, in regards with numbers, mops the floor with it.
Yes, it does. Globally, what is it up to now? Like, not almost 2-1 or something like that. I forgot the exact numbers, but Android is everywhere and growing.
No, you're right. Android is everywhere and growing, and you've been a staunch Android user for as long as I've known you. And early on, that bothered me. But I finally, I get it. I got it all along. I see it. The light, the light bulb is turned on, Rich. I totally get where you're coming from.
I do use them both. You know that well.
Oh, no. I know you use them both.
I like the Android OS. No, I mean, I fully admit, just like it took a long time for me to even appreciate Apple computers. And it took a long time for me to realize what it was that I didn't like about them. And that was, again, being in tech, being a guy that likes to get in there and tweak and look under the hood and climb under the hood and do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Apple tries to isolate that from you for the sake of the interface and for the sake of the user, which is not a bad thing for a person to just pick it up and use. It took me a long time to get that. That's why I didn't like them. So, they're fine. They work. They're good. No complaints. Now, let's see what happens over the next couple of years. What do you think is happening with Apple these days? Because let's face it, this is one of my 2016 in tech items anyway. Apple. Where are they going? What are they going to do? Because we know these last announcements of hardware were not exactly stellar, nothing revolutionary, barely even evolutionary. What do you think happens with them? What do you think is going to happen in another 2 years?
You were just breaking up a little bit, so I didn't hear the last sentence.
With Apple, we know that the last few releases that have come from Cupertino have not been all that stellar, it seems. There's been nothing that was revolutionary, nothing that was even really evolutionary. What do you think is going to happen with Apple for the next couple of years? What do you think they need to do? What can they do?
Oh, I mean, you mean if we were running Apple, what would we do, or what do we expect them to do?
Well, no, that's a good one. If tomorrow they said, TEDx, we need you to replace Tim Cook. Here, you're at the helm. Plan for the next year.
I would tell you this much. Number one, the quickest thing I would think of is what to do with your desktop strategy, your iMac users. How about creating a touch iMac? How about releasing? I mean, it's so funny, Rich. I was in Bed-Stuy the other day in a bodega, and there were a bunch of youths that were in the store with me. And the youth, I think a youth. I think the oldest one he said he was 23. But the first thing he said was, "What is the status with group Facebook. I mean, group FaceTime Messenger.
Mm.
What's going on with that? What's going on with actually having a touch notebook or a touch
Right.
desktop? I
Right.
mean, we saw what they did in the last version of the MacBook, and I'm like, okay, that's cute, but that's not what people are clamoring for. Clamoring for.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and it kind of, for me, if you and I were running Apple, truthfully, I would address the desktop and laptop strategy. I would attack. I would have purchased, truthfully. I would have when Time Warner was made available, all those
Yeah.
properties.
Yeah.
I would have snagged it. I would have snagged it. I would have snagged that, and I might even purchase Twitter.
Yeah, that's one now. But I mean, purchase Twitter for patents. But I mean, it's not like they don't already have message, iMessage. So they've got a
Right.
communications method, and to own that media. Meh, I guess I could see it though. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything if they pick up Twitter. It doesn't hurt anything.
But
Okay.
those would be my initial items. I would, and I know all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of properties that they have, and it's like, where is the heavy usage at? Where's the heavy usage? Where are we getting a lot of pop? Are you getting a lot of pop from Apple Music? Maybe they are. Maybe they are with subscribers. I mean, I don't know. But those would be initially, like a quick glance, that would be the first thing I would look at.
Do
What
you
about
keep
yourself?
do you keep the iMac? Because that's where it seems
I
like that seems to be falling off for them more and more. Do you
They're
keep
not
it?
making any changes. It's it's
Right. No,
exactly
you're
the
right.
same model. I mean, the body, the bezel is slimmer and everything else like that, but when you don't make any major enhancements to it, what is it able to do now that it wasn't able to do years ago?
Well, it's kind of the opposite because it doesn't have an optical drive anymore. But that's a peeve of mine. Even though I totally understand the business,
Exactly. Exactly.
I still think the optical drive could remain in the device. Granted, there's a lot more subscription available, subscription software. Everything is available for download, but things still do ship with media. It doesn't hurt to have it there. But again, that's probably the technician die in me. I admit to that. I'm with you though. I say you do some sort of merging of the iOS with the Apple OS because iOS is the winner for them, right? If it wasn't for
Yes.
iOS, no one would care about iPhones, iPads, or any of the mobile devices. Merge that in an effective way with the Apple OS because the Apple OS itself, same thing. I mean, we've had done the last 4 updates, I'd say. They've tweaked it. They've added things here and there, but it's still the same OS X as for the most part. It's
True.
faster, it's more streamlined, but it's still the same thing. And they probably don't want to fall into the trap that we'll say Microsoft fell into when they took that leap with Windows 8 and
Oh,
on that. But they also learned from it, and we got Windows 10 out of it, which is Windows 10 is pretty good. They learned some lessons, and made up for it with giving it away for free and making it available, and I think Microsoft made all the proper moves around that. From that, so if they want to be the ones that are different, be different, think different, make something happen, take that chance, be Apple. You have the money. It's not like they couldn't afford to take a chance, and we know that they have enough money where they should be able to throw as much as they need to in research and development and product testing, and they can make everything where we can say, all right, we can give it a shot. And maybe it is. Maybe it is all happening, and we see it in another couple of years. You know, the post-Steve Jobs era, that's got to be hurting them. You know, the man who was the helm, the driver of that boat. All his ideas are probably like, okay, we can't fall back on this one anymore. We have to come up with something new, and I think that's where they're stuck right now.
What are you envisioning for? You know, the iPhone was born in 2007. Yeah. Guess what happens in a few days? It's 2017, the 10th anniversary. What do you expect that iPhone to look like?
Let's see. Do they? Hey, that's rough. It's gonna look probably the same. You know, maybe they get a little thinner. Sure. What we could see, because you got, and it would be just ridiculously expensive, but you got the flexible old OLED screens. You have that coming out now. Those are available. Right. I don't know if they could push it for a 2017 release, but that's the kind of thing I think Apple would throw out there. You know, iPhone Flex. You know, again, interface is probably the same. iOS is iOS so far, but that would be a nice touch. Now, you know, it would also have its own issues because if it's flexible and you put it in your pocket, well, what's to keep it from really cracking, or how flexible is it? You know, there's a whole bunch of engineering issues that probably would have to be resolved around that. But you know, for the 10th anniversary iPhone, I don't know. They seem to be kind of stuck in a corner, unless again they seem to be stuck because they're really holding off on bringing something out that really wows us in the next year or so. I don't know.
Well, we've been waiting to be wowed for a very long time. Hey, what's let's see how much time we have left. I just want to get your thoughts on Facebook, fake news, things that they're doing. Did it lose the election? I don't think it lost the election. Period.
I don't. Did it lose the election? Or was that the cause of the loss? I don't think so either. Do I think there's a few percentage points involved? Yeah. Because you wouldn't believe what people actually believe from the things they read. I can't name names, and I wasn't there, but my wife told me about it. She went to visit a friend with another friend, and we're having a conversation with the folks who were at the home. And the man of the house firmly and with in all dead complete seriousness believed that Michelle Obama is a man.
Oh,
believes it with his heart and soul. You know, the fake news thing. It's almost like, well, you know what? If these people fell for this fake news and believed it, I don't think I want to vote for me anyway. You know, it's the responsibility of a person to do a little bit of research, have a little common sense. I mean, you know, and it's always a good practice for anyone, and we've had this discussion already, but it's a good practice for anyone. Don't just go look at the news sites which you believe feed your belief, but look at what's the other side. Read both sides of the coin. Get the information. See what both sides are putting forth, so you can learn and maybe get a more fair and more balanced view. But is it Facebook's responsibility to stop a fake news site? Not really, because the fake news site isn't hosted by Facebook. It's just a link. So anyone can post a link to anything else, and then they can't really. I don't see where they can block a fake news site, because, well, somewhere on all of those sites in the fine print it says this is a satirical site. Every time I looked for it, I found it. At that point, are they blocking First Amendment? If there's nothing on the site which is inciting violence or anything like that, well, they can't block it. They can't make that political statement. So I don't think it's Facebook's responsibility, really.
This is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents. We're talking with Rich Valdez. We're talking about, I guess, technology trends for 2016. And a big one was our good friends at Netflix. A feature that was made available within the last 10 days, a downloadable feature, Rich. Can Netflix get any better?
I'm beginning to wonder. So when we hear that Netflix wants to go out and buy Apple Music to start a streaming music service, then you know what's going on. Or they go, watch, you hear that Netflix wants to buy Pandora. Something like that comes out. Wouldn't be surprised, and it would make a lot of sense. You know, why not?
I can see Netflix buying Tidal or something like that. Something with a huge listener base.
Right. Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. Stream music along with movies. Why not? Everyone's device has Netflix built in already. You can done. I have been so happy with Netflix after releasing the streaming. The downloading capability. That was a good move. It really, really was a good move on their part. And I guess again from reading, what was holding them back was that they had to really make more deals and negotiate with the other production companies out there because they didn't own so much of the content. But now Netflix Studios is the powerhouse. They don't have to negotiate with anyone to allow that content to be downloaded. It's all theirs. So
you know, Rich, the fact that they can turn around and say, Dave Chappelle, we're going to pay you $60 million or $40 million for 3 one-hour specials.
Right.
That are all going to be released at the same time, concurrently. Says a lot about a company, the strength behind a specific company. And that's what we see nowadays with, I have access to Amazon through the Amazon Prime and through Netflix, and I pay for both of these services. I don't pay for Hulu. Do you still Hulu? Or?
No, I never paid for Hulu. I had the free Hulu when that was really, really available, but I was happy with Netflix then, and I'm still happy with Netflix now. I, too, get Amazon Prime, Amazon Prime, so I get Amazon Video along with that. And between Netflix and Amazon, that's almost all the content or streaming content that I need. So the combined, those work really well for me. Who knows what happens down the line? Hulu's got to be hurting. I can't see where, especially now, Hulu has a lot of leg to stand on. I'd be curious to see what their subscription numbers are if people are starting to jump ship on them.
Hey, so this was reminiscent over this past weekend. I spent some time in D.C. I was at the MGM casino, but a video came across my mobile phone and some of my friends' mobile phones. And, we know about the Samsungs catching on fire. Did you see that hoax with CeeLo Green?
Yes.
CeeLo Green, and I thought it was a Samsung. I said, well, he didn't get the memo? First question is could Samsung have a worse year? And number 2, that hoax, are you thumbs up, thumbs down? Did it catch your attention? What are your thoughts on those 2 topics?
So on the hoax, it was funny. I saw that hoax video just before I was leaving the house to go do the show on Sunday. So I saw the video, saw the link, and I was thinking to myself, this just doesn't look right. After he turns around and disappears, but I only got to look at it one time, so I didn't get to look and investigate and see, was it real, is it legit, And then when on the show with Dr. Michelle and with Allison, Dr. Michelle mentioned it and said, oh yeah, it's already been found to be a hoax. I'm like, all right, well that makes sense. I'm thumbs down on that. Besides the fact that it serves no point really. I don't know any more about it than what the video was. I don't know who put it out there. Was this a CeeLo Green attempt at getting a little publicity, or did someone else put it out there? So I don't know any of those details on that. But I'm kind of thumbs down on that. But as far as Samsung and the batteries and their vendor who made the batteries and lack of quality control, and if at first you don't succeed, let them blow up again, they just completely dropped the ball on the deployment there. But I still do give them kudos for how they handled it in the long run, because they were like, you know what, they tried it the first time, take them all back. We want them back. We'll try it again. They messed up again. That's a problem. And then they said, you know what, forget it. We're just going to cancel that whole run. We're going to cancel that product. It's a wrap. That was the right thing to do, I think. And I do have a problem with Verizon, because when Samsung said, you know what, we're going to effectively make these devices inoperable via the OS and push updates to it so they can't charge more than 15%, and, you know, we're going to basically brick them. Verizon's like, no, we want to keep them out there. We're not going to push that update. Sorry, I think that was a bad move on their part. They should have also let their devices be bricked and just get them out of the field. Because now what potentially could happen if one of a device that someone had that was a Verizon device blows up, or, you know, anything happens, I think the person will come back and say, well, you should have disabled the device like the vendor asked you to. Time will tell. We'll see what happens, if anything happens there.
So Rich, are you currently using Samsung Pay or Android Pay, or are you using Apple Pay, or are you just using the conventional chip on your credit card?
I am using the conventional chip. I have all three pays that you mentioned installed, and a card activated, at least one card activated on all of them. But honestly, I haven't used it because it's just, for me personally, it's just as easy just to say, all right, well, I got my wallet, here's the chip, stick it in, done. But I do want to mess around with Samsung Pay. I like that idea. Let's just see what happens on any device. I put my phone near it, and it should read it. But I have not used it yet myself. More out of habit than anything else.
What will be the emerging technology for 2017? If you were looking in your crystal ball.
I think we're going to see a lot more. Something's going to happen more with streaming video, I think, because I didn't get a hold of the spectacles, the Snap spectacles, but I see where they could do a lot with that. Everyone gets a little easy device in their hand, which is actually not in their hands, to record video, running around, make it more interactive, more fun. I think someone's going to do something with streaming video. I think we might get another Pokemon Go type act, something with that augmented reality type thing. Granted that seemed to fizzle pretty quickly, but there was a lot of money made there, and it got a lot of attention. And, with our phones, all mobile devices getting so much more powerful every iteration, I can see someone trying to developing an app or some sort that everyone steps back and says, oh, wow, that's going to be pretty cool. And I think autonomous cars, between Tesla and Uber and, everyone else developing, I think we'll see just even more with self-driving cars next year.
Something much lesser that you didn't mention, and I'm just going to throw out there, when does 8K become the norm?
When 4K is everywhere, which it almost is. I mean, again, 8K, what's holding it back? Is it a bandwidth thing? Do you have an 8K TV yet? Do you have one?
I don't.
I don't have any.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't have any 8K devices. None of my recording gear records in 8K. And you know me, heck, I'm new to the 4K game. And I don't see a need. Yeah, it looks good. No real need for it yet. And I don't know, what also changes, I guess, 8K, 4K, and, over 1080, you've got we really just, has it been 7 years, where, over-the-air broadcast, everyone had to standardize on 1080? It wasn't even that long ago.
It's true.
Now what do we got to stand? We don't have a 4K standard. No one has to
Not
broadcast
yet.
on that. So we've got to get there first before we're even thinking about 8K. Or will broadcasters be able to skip over 8K, 4K, and broadcast just in 8K, which is, again, entire infrastructure rebuild for the broadcaster and the transmitters and the TVs and everything else that goes along with it. So I haven't gotten any hands-on with 8K myself. I don't know. I think 8K is a couple of years out before it really gains big traction.
The one thing I will say about 4K, watch an EPL game. If you have a 4K TV,
yep.
Watch an English Premier League game because they are broadcast in 4K. Nothing like it. I mean, well, you've seen 4K by going through your Netflix and watching,
yes.
Any specific original series that's recorded in 4K. But watching live sports in 4K, you've just taken that in-stadium experience and just brought it right to the family room. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing. But now, what do you say is the smallest television size you should have for a good 4K experience?
I'm gonna stick with the 55 inch.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick between 50 and 55 inch TV for 4K. I think you shouldn't. It's sacrilegious if you go smaller than that.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I'd go there too.
So, before we bring this to a close, want to thank none other than the great Richie V for joining us to talk a little technology. And, I mean, we kind of know all the big players that are out there. Any parting shots?
No. You know what? I'm going to end this year on that totally positive note. I got no parting shots for anyone out there. Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Apple, you got to do something. You got to step up your game this year. That's my parting shot. I don't want to see another little sliding thing at the top of a computer and call it a new computer. No, don't do it. That's my parting shot.
Hey, just an honorable mention to Amazon. You know, Amazon in the UK is basically FedEx.
That makes sense.
Amazon outside of the US basically does the delivery and everything else like that, and I'm expecting that to explode along with their brick and mortar stores. And oh man, we didn't even talk Amazon Go. The fact of the cashierless grocery store. We'll talk about that next time. But Richie V, best ways to get in contact with you, my friend.
As always, if you're on Twitter, catch me at RichieV_NY. That's RICHIEV_NY. Or on Facebook, see what's going on with me, my friends, my family, at Facebook.com/TheRealRichieV.
Gotcha. Rich, want to give you a one time?